Tangled in Tulum Part 1. Chapter 1, Namaste, you snake. Tulum smelled like rain, salt, and sage that morning, the kind of air Lana Cruz swore could cure heartbreak. And today, she needed every ounce of that healing energy. She stood barefoot in the sand, her yoga mat rolled under one arm, the turquoise hem of her linen pants fluttering in the breeze. Her sanctuary, the small palm-thatched retreat center she'd built with her bare hands and crowd-funded dreams, shimmered behind her like a mirage. Hammocks swayed between coconut trees. Handmade prayer flags flapped lazily under the sun. But peace was short-lived. A black SUV rumbled down the dirt path like a beast rolling toward sacred ground. It kicked up dust, scattering the butterflies that had drifted lazily through the clearing all morning. Her golden retriever, Luna, growled softly at her feet. Then he stepped out. Niko Delgado. Tall, tanned, and smug as a man who'd never lost a battle. He wore a crisp white button-down open at the collar, just enough to show off a gold chain and sun-burnished skin and dark aviators that reflected the entire jungle back at her like a challenge. Behind him stood a man in a suit too expensive for Tulum, holding a thick file folder. "Señorita Cruz," Nico said smoothly, pulling off his sunglasses with a flash of white teeth. "Lovely day for a hostile takeover." Lana didn't blink. She crossed her arms, letting the full fury of her chakras radiate. "You're standing on sacred soil," she said. "This land is protected." He chuckled, handing the file to his assistant. "Not anymore." The folder opened. A deed. A signature. Her sanctuary's name, KX Yoga Retreat, listed in bold, under a new owner, Delgado International Holdings. Her breath caught. Her hands curled into fists. "No," she said, her voice a low, disbelieving tremor. "That can't be right. I've leased this land for 5 years. The Mayan Council approved the extension. There was an agreement. An agreement that expired 6 weeks ago." Nico tilted his head with mock sympathy. "The landowner didn't renew. My lawyers made them a better offer." Lana stepped forward, ignoring the heat rising in her chest. "This isn't just a patch of jungle. People come here to heal. To reconnect. To find their center." He smirked. "They'll still be able to reconnect. But maybe with baccarat tables and infinity pools instead of, mosquito nets and crystals." Her face flushed with fury. "You bought my dreams. For what? A casino?" He shrugged. "Not just any casino. A world-class eco-luxury experience. Think, spiritual Vegas, but with better drinks." She was going to slap him. Actually slap him. Her fingers twitched. But instead, she took a long, seething breath, lifted her chin, and whispered the words with venom wrapped in silk. "Namaste, you snake." He grinned. "Careful, Lana. With that fire in your eyes, you might just fit right in." Then he turned and walked back to the SUV, his shirt catching the breeze like a cape, his scent salt, cedarwood, and the devil's cologne lingering in the air behind him. Lana stood alone in the dust, heart racing, fists clenched. Her sanctuary, gone. Her purpose, threatened. And the man who'd destroyed it was the most infuriatingly attractive billionaire she'd ever laid eyes on. This was war. And in Tulum, even war was barefoot. Chapter 2, The Billionaire vs. The Barefoot Guru. The town hall meeting was supposed to be civil. Peaceful. A gathering of hearts and minds. Instead, it was an open-air showdown wrapped in boho linen, agave cocktails, and local gossip just the way Tulum liked it. Word of Niko Delgado's land grab had spread faster than a jungle fire, and by sundown, the community center was bursting with bodies, resort owners, retreat leaders, Instagram yogis, a few shirtless drummers, and a handful of influencers who didn't understand the politics but had definitely sensed a camera-worthy scandal. Lana Cruz sat on a woven straw mat at the front, spine straight, face unreadable. She wore flowing white palazzo pants, a hand-embroidered huipil, and a necklace made from coral and carved jade. Her hair was twisted into a fierce high bun, and her bare feet were planted on the bamboo floor with warrior-like certainty. She looked calm. She was anything but. Because across the circle, lounging with impossible ease in a low-slung chair like he owned not just the room but the air in it, sat Niko Delgado. Black linen shirt. Tan slacks. Shoes that had never seen sand. His watch alone could pay for a year's worth of cacao ceremonies. He sipped from a glass bottle of sparkling water and smirked like a man who'd shown up to a protest with a purchase receipt. The room buzzed. The moderator, an earnest expat with dreadlocks and a clipboard, cleared his throat. "We're here tonight to discuss the future of the KX Jungle Parcel," he began, "and to give both voices local wellness and international development space to speak in harmony." Lana stood first. Her voice, when it came, was clear. Grounded. Equal parts grace and fury. "I've spent 6 years building a retreat center rooted in Mayan traditions. People come to Tulum to find balance. Connection. Stillness. Not blackjack tables and helicopter pads." Murmurs of agreement rose around her. She turned her gaze on Nico. "Some of us care about healing. Others care about headlines." He leaned back, lazy as a jungle cat. Then he stood. And the energy shifted. All tan, tall confidence, he took the floor like a TED Talk crossed with a perfume ad. "I respect your passion," Nico began smoothly, "but let's be honest, Tulum is changing. You want sacred? That's beautiful. But sacred doesn't pay for infrastructure, waste management, clean water. What I'm building will provide jobs. Eco-regeneration. A future." A few hesitant nods from the business owners. Lana narrowed her eyes. "A future wrapped in LED lights and profit margins." He smiled. "A future where the local kids don't have to choose between artisan baskets and hunger." That one hit the room hard. He turned to face her fully now. "I don't hate what you do, Lana. I just think it's naive. You believe love and light can protect the jungle? The jungle needs power. Money. Protection on a global scale. You say you're saving it, but from where I'm standing, you've just been squatting on borrowed time." Gasps. Someone dropped a mala bead bracelet. Lana stepped forward. Her eyes met his like fire meeting a stone wall. "You don't get to lecture me about preservation when you fly in on private jets and build temples out of concrete." He tilted his head. "You're angry because I'm not the villain you wanted. But let's be honest, every jungle queen needs a dragon to slay, right?" The tension in the room could have snapped bamboo. But Lana didn't flinch. Instead, she turned to the crowd and lifted her voice. "You want to save Tulum? Then stop selling it." Silence. Then applause scattered, then growing. Someone let out a "Si, Hermana," from the back. Nico didn't clap. But he didn't smirk either. Because for one fleeting second, as Lana's eyes locked on his across the candle-lit room, something flickered between them. Not hate. Heat. Wild. Forbidden. Dangerous. She turned away before it caught fire. But he felt it. So did she. Outside, the crowd poured into the night, the air thick with sweat and sandalwood. Lana walked barefoot through the gravel, her pulse still racing. She could feel him behind her before he spoke. "Strong words," he said, voice low. She didn't turn. "Don't mistake passion for performance." He stepped closer. "Wouldn't dare." Another pause. "Then, you should know. I've never met someone who could hold their ground with me like that." She turned then slowly, eyes sharp. "That's because most people are too busy trying to buy your favor." He smiled. And for the briefest moment, it was sincere. "Maybe. But I think you might be the first person I've ever wanted to earn it from." Lana blinked. Once. Twice. Then she walked away, back straight, head high. Because in that moment, she didn't know whether she wanted to slap him or kiss him. And that terrified her more than anything. Chapter 3, You Bought My Dreams. Lana didn't sleep that night. The jungle, normally her blanket of peace, felt restless, like it too was holding its breath. The drums from the beach had stopped long before midnight, and the moon had ducked behind clouds thick with secrets. She sat cross-legged on the wooden deck outside her bungalow, drinking cold hibiscus tea that had long since gone bitter, replaying the town hall moment by moment. He'd made her look like a barefoot idealist with no plan. Worse, he had almost made her doubt herself. Almost. By morning, she was ready for war. She braided her hair tight, threw on high-waisted palazzo pants and a black crop top that said "Protect the Jungle" in hand-painted gold letters. She wasn't just Lana Cruz, yoga guide and healer anymore. She was a woman scorned. And she had questions. The Delgado Resort and Holdings office was located right on the beach, inside a converted boutique hotel. Glass walls, polished stone floors, and industrial wood with chic, faux Mayan accents that made her want to throw a bundle of burning copal at the interior designer. Lana walked past two confused receptionists, barefoot and furious, straight into the corner office where Niko Delgado was finishing a call. He looked up, surprised but only slightly. "Señorita Cruz," he said, standing slowly. "I was just thinking about you." She slammed a folder onto his desk. Inside, photos of her retreat. Letters from her guests. Testimonials. Permits. A certificate from the Mayan Council. A hand-drawn map made by one of the local elders showing the sacred areas on the land. "You didn't just buy property," she said. "You bought my dreams." He raised an eyebrow, calm as ever. She took a step forward. "You don't get to bulldoze your way through a culture and call it progress. This place, what I built, it matters." Nico exhaled, took off his glasses, and leaned back in his chair. "You think I don't know that?" She froze. "What?" "I did my research, Lana. Your retreat isn't just trendy. It has heart. It has roots. That's exactly why I bought it." She narrowed her eyes. "You expect me to thank you for that?" "No," he said, voice lower now. "I expect you to see the bigger picture." He stood, walked to the side window, and opened it. The ocean air rolled in like a seduction, warm, salty, undeniable. From this angle, Lana could see both her retreat's thatched rooftops, and the white cranes waiting to break ground next door. "You think I want a casino," he said. "I don't." She blinked. "But that's what your proposal said. It's what the investors want. It's what I had to say to buy time. Because if I hadn't bought it, someone else would have, and they wouldn't care about jaguar migration patterns or sacred cenotes." She stared at him, stunned. "Wait. You're saying you bought it to protect it?" He turned, slowly, his eyes unreadable. "I'm saying," he said, "that I'm not your enemy." But that wasn't what confused her. What confused her was the moment that followed. The silence. The slow way his gaze dropped to her lips. The awareness that charged the space between them hot and humming, like the jungle before a storm. Lana took a step back. He didn't follow. But his voice did. "You care because you built something here. I respect that." She crossed her arms. And I care," he said, softer now, "because someone I loved once built something too. And lost it." That caught her off guard. The curtain fluttered. A storm was building somewhere beyond the beach. Lana hesitated, her anger unraveling thread by thread. "Then why not work with me?" she asked. "Why not tell me the truth before signing everything away?" He smiled, but not with his eyes. "Because in this world, Lana, the truth doesn't get you the land. Money does. And I thought, maybe later, I'd explain. Maybe we'd sit down like adults and find a middle ground." Her throat tightened. "And now?" He studied her. Eyes like stormy clouds. Voice like velvet laced with fire. "Now," he said. "Now, I'm not sure whether I want to build something, or burn it all down. Her breath caught. Not in fear. In something worse. Recognition. Because deep down, some small reckless part of her didn't know if she wanted to fight him, or fall for him. She turned sharply and walked away before she could do something irrational. Like forgive him. Or kiss him. But behind her, in his glass-walled office, Niko Delgado smiled to himself as he watched her leave. Because she had come here ready for war. And now? Now she was tangled. Exactly where he wanted her. Chapter 4, Cenote Showdown. The cenote shimmered like a secret. Hidden deep in the jungle, half swallowed by vines and sun-dappled leaves, it was a sacred place. The locals called it Uamil, meaning guardian. The kind of water that remembered things. That held on to whispers and released them only when the light was right. Lana Cruz hadn't been here in months. Not since the retreat season ended, and certainly not since Niko Delgado swaggered into her life like the villain in a cologne ad. But something about the endless back and forth with lawyers, the collapse of her social media tribe, and the not-so-latent fury boiling in her chest drove her there. She needed grounding. She needed stillness. She needed to float in ancient water and remember who she was before her sanctuary turned into a battlefield. She wore a slate grey one-piece swimsuit, minimal but striking, with delicate gold details. Her hair was piled in a loose bun, stray curls clinging to her damp neck. Her feet were dusty from the walk-in. A single string of obsidian beads hung around her throat. She didn't expect anyone else. She certainly didn't expect him. The splash echoed before she saw him. At first, she thought it was a monkey, or maybe a tourist who'd gotten lost. But then she heard it. That smooth, infuriating voice. "Funny seeing you here, Bruja." Lana froze mid-step. And then she saw him. Niko Delgado stood waist-deep in the water like some sort of tanned jungle god. His wet white shirt clung to every line of his torso, unbuttoned, the fabric half-transparent. His hair was slicked back, droplets running down his jaw and disappearing into a chest that had absolutely no right being that sculpted. He grinned. "Didn't take you for the skinny dip in sacred places type." She didn't move. Didn't blink. Just lifted an unimpressed eyebrow. "You again. You keep acting surprised to see me in Tulum," he said, wading closer. "This is my land, remember?" Lana stepped down toward the edge of the cenote platform. "You may have a deed," she said, voice cool, "but this place doesn't belong to anyone. It's older than your empire. Older than your money. You don't own magic, Nico." He paused just a few feet away now, water lapping around his waist. "Maybe not," he said softly. "But I recognize it when I see it." Their eyes locked. Lana's breath caught in her throat. Damn him! She hated how he made the air feel charged. How his gaze made her forget the very real fact that he was trying to turn her life's work into a glittering theme park for the rich and oblivious. She also hated how good he looked wet. She cleared her throat. "I didn't come here to fight." He tilted his head. "Good. Neither did I." She hesitated. Then walked to the water's edge and slowly stepped down the ancient stone steps into the pool. The cenote was cool, the kind of chill that hugged your skin and cleared your mind. They floated, side by side now. Not touching. Not talking. Just drifting in shared silence. It was the closest they'd come to peace. Until Lana broke it. "You really don't care about the casino?" she asked, voice quieter now. He sighed. "I care more about keeping this land out of the hands of people who would tear it apart. The resort is the compromise." She turned to him. "Then why not tell the truth from the start?" His gaze turned serious. "Because the truth doesn't matter to people with money. You think I walk into boardrooms talking about spirit animals and cenote gods? They'd laugh me out of the room. But a luxury development with eco-curated experiences and branded sustainability? That gets funding. That gets protection." Lana stared at him. Not with anger this time. With curiosity. And something else. Understanding? She hated that. Because understanding him made hating him harder. Suddenly, her foot slipped on the algae-covered stone beneath her. She yelped, arms flailing, and before she could catch herself, Nico's hands were on her waist, steadying her. The touch was electric. Flesh against flesh. His fingers warm against her skin. Her hands on his bare chest. Neither moved. For a moment, they just breathed. His voice was a low whisper. "You okay?" She nodded, slowly. But neither of them let go. The water around them was still. Their bodies were not. She could feel the tension, the danger of being this close to someone she should be dragging on Instagram, not floating within a holy jungle pool. Her voice came out as a whisper. "This doesn't mean I like you." He smirked. "But you're not pushing me away either." She pulled back sharply, splashing water between them. "You're arrogant. You're intoxicating. You're ruining my retreat. You're invading my thoughts." She froze at that. He didn't smile this time. Just watched her. Carefully. Quietly. And she knew, deep in her solar plexus, that this wasn't just flirtation. This was the beginning of something. Dangerous. Beautiful. Doomed. She turned and swam to the far end of the cenote, heart pounding. And as Nico watched her go, a crooked, frustrated smile pulled at the edge of his mouth. Because neither of them had won that round. But both of them were falling. Chapter 5, Kissed by the Moon, or the Enemy. Tulum knew how to throw a party. Especially under a full moon. And this one, the Luna de Sangre celebration, was the kind of night Lana Cruz used to live for. A sacred collision of wild and wise. Where ancient rituals met designer sandals. Where DJs shared space with Mayan elders and barefoot dancers swayed between candlelit altars and incense clouds. But tonight? Tonight, Lana didn't feel like dancing. Not when her retreat teetered on the edge of erasure. Not when her head was clouded by spreadsheets, land deeds, and most maddening of all, Niko Delgado's voice echoing through her mind. "You're not pushing me away. You're intoxicating." She scoffed as she adjusted her woven belt. Liar. Still, she'd shown up. Because disappearing would be surrender, and Lana Cruz didn't disappear. She wore a golden silk wrap dress, tied high around the waist, the fabric catching in the breeze like flame. Her hair was wild from the jungle heat, her lips tinted a deep berry red. She didn't bother with shoes. Let the earth touch her. Let it remind her she still belonged. The beach was already packed when she arrived. Bonfires roared. Drums pounded. Bodies moved like liquid. Someone passed her a coconut filled with glowing pink kombucha vodka, and she didn't even ask what was in it. She drank. She needed to forget. She needed to burn off the tension still coiling low in her belly since the cenote. She needed. "You again." That voice. She didn't turn around. She sipped her drink. Let the moon bathe her skin before facing him. Nico stood just behind her, sleeves rolled, shirt open too far, silver pendant resting against his chest. His jaw was shadowed, his eyes darker than they'd been at the cenote. He held a bottle of mezcal and a glint in his eye. "You really know how to haunt a party," Lana muttered. He chuckled. "I was going to say the same about you." She didn't want to laugh. But the buzz from the drink and the moonlight in her veins made her smirk. "Are you following me now? Would you believe me if I said the moon pulled me here?" She turned fully to face him. "You're smooth, Delgado. But I don't trust anything that glitters under the moon." "That's fair," he said, stepping closer. "But sometimes what glitters under the moon, burns under the sun." The beat of the drums slowed into something sultry. The crowd swayed. Someone threw rose petals into the fire. Lana looked at him, and for a second, forgot why she hated him. Forgot about land, and betrayal, and the future she'd watched slip through her fingers. All she saw was the way his eyes softened when he looked at her. Like he didn't know whether to kiss her or worship her. And maybe she was tired of resisting. Maybe she just wanted to feel something other than fury. She took another sip. "Nico, this doesn't mean anything," she murmured. "Say that again after," he said, stepping closer. Too close. And then he kissed her. Or maybe she kissed him. It didn't matter. Because the moment their lips met, the world stopped moving. The drums vanished. The fire crackled louder. Her skin burned where he touched her fingers on her waist, thumb grazing her cheekbone like she was fragile, precious, dangerous. She should have pulled away. She didn't. She melted. Just for one breathless, blinding moment. Then, Lana. She broke the kiss. Snapped back to herself. Eyes wide, breath shaking. A familiar voice behind her, Camila, her co-teacher and best friend, standing a few feet away, frozen with betrayal on her face. Lana stepped back like she'd been slapped. Nico didn't say a word. He looked disappointed. But not surprised. Camila turned and walked off, fast. And Lana? She stood alone under the full moon, lips still tingling, heart thundering. What had she just done? Kissed her enemy? Or something worse? Kissed the man who might just ruin her life. And take her heart with him. Chapter 6, Secrets Beneath the Surface. Tulum's sun was cruel the next morning. It poured through the open windows of Lana's bungalow like judgment. Warm, merciless, and blinding. She lay in bed with her arm over her eyes, head pounding not from kombucha vodka, but from memory. The kiss. His lips. Her betrayal. Camila's face. What did I just do? There was no mantra strong enough to dissolve the shame churning in her gut. No breathing exercise that could undo the fact that she had kissed Niko Delgado, the man trying to bulldoze her entire world, and liked it. She pushed herself upright, tossed on an oversized tunic, and left the bungalow before her guilt could strangle her. She needed clarity. She needed answers. She needed to know what kind of man could destroy a sanctuary with one hand and kiss like salvation with the other. Hours later, Lana found herself standing in front of a gated compound on the edge of town, something she hadn't planned, and yet, her feet had led her there. Fundación Alma del Jaguar. Soul of the Jaguar Foundation. The name shimmered on a carved wooden sign, partially hidden behind bougainvillea. It was the same name that had shown up in a whisper during the town council meeting, in passing, in hushed reverence, an environmental group supposedly working to protect endangered wildlife corridors around the Yucatan. And apparently, secretly funded by Niko Delgado. At first, Lana thought it was gossip. A cover-up. But curiosity was a relentless thing. So she walked through the open gates. Inside, the compound looked nothing like a real estate development or corporate front. It was lush and quiet, shaded by thick ceiba trees. Butterflies floated lazily above wildflowers. There were carved benches and altars to Ixchel, the Mayan goddess of fertility and the moon. A large, open-air pavilion stood at the center, where locals were gathered studying, teaching, creating herbal tinctures. It was beautiful. Sacred. A woman approached Lana with warm eyes and calloused hands, introducing herself as Maya, the foundation's program director. "I was wondering if I could speak with someone about your donors," Lana asked carefully. Maya gave a small smile and tilted her head. "You mean Mr. Delgado?" Lana blinked. "You don't have to whisper it like it's a sin," Maya teased. "The foundation wouldn't exist without him." Lana's brows drew together. "I thought. I mean, doesn't he work with developers?" Maya nodded solemnly. "He does. And most of them are poison. But Nico's different. He gives without his name on anything. No press. No board seats. He made us promise not to link him publicly." Lana was stunned. "He funds all this, for no recognition." Maya smiled. He said he doesn't want to be thanked. He just wants to make up for something. Lana's voice was barely a whisper. Make up for what? Maya paused, then gestured for Lana to follow her. They walked behind the main pavilion to a quiet garden shaded with vines and moss. At the center stood a stone altar. On it, a framed photo. A woman with soft eyes and wild black hair, smiling with a jaguar cub in her arms. Maya placed a hand on Lana's shoulder. That's his mother. Dr. Isabella Delgado. She was a wildlife biologist. Fought her whole life to protect this region. She died trying to stop a resort from destroying a jaguar nesting zone outside Cancun. Lana stared at the photo. Her knees nearly gave out. She knew that name. Dr. Isabella Delgado. The same woman who had inspired her years ago, whose field research had led Lana to Tulum in the first place. Whose books on eco-spirituality were dog-eared on the shelf in her retreat bungalow. Whose legacy was why she did any of this. And she was Nico's mother? Her breath caught in her throat. I had no idea, she murmured. Maya nodded softly. Not many do. He never uses her name for anything. But everything he builds? It's for her. This land, this place, it's his offering. Lana felt dizzy. Hollowed out. The enemy she had poured her rage into all these months, was the son of her hero? Suddenly, nothing made sense anymore. And yet everything did. She wandered out of the compound in a haze, barefoot, dust on her ankles, salt in her throat. How could someone who kissed like a devil and bought land like a thief, also carry a heart like that? She remembered his words at the cenote. Someone I loved once built something, and lost it. She thought he was being poetic. Manipulative. But he wasn't. He was being honest. And now Lana didn't know what terrified her more. That she had judged him unfairly. Or that she might be falling for the one man who could break her soul not through betrayal, but through understanding. That's the end of this part, but trust me, the next one is even more thrilling. We drop fresh episodes every day, so don't miss out. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for listening to Billionaire Romance Stories, where love meets luxury in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing your favorite twists and favorite theories. And don't forget to ring that bell, because in this world of yachts, secrets, and luxurious romance, the next story is always one click away.